Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, Chapter 216 review. Now, for some reason today, I'm not that focused. I don't know why. Even though I deliberately, well, no, I kind of do know why. Because I had something, I had an accident in the kitchen, and it was early in the morning, and I had to take care of it. I mean, that's the way life is. But, you know, the silent struggles. But it just bugged me because I'm like, fuck, I had like very little sleep, but I postponed the review for this chapter because I wanted to take time and actually, you know, like dive into the material and give a solid review. But because of the accident in the morning, it's kind of like I don't really know where it's going to go now. So I'm probably going to, I may ramble, I may go off topic. It is what it is because I'm tired, I'm fatigued. But you guys get what you get, and I'm going to try and make the best of it. But that being said, this chapter, alright, let me just dive right into the chapter, okay? Because this chapter actually did two main things that I really liked. The first thing was that they're giving you a first-person perspective of what's going on in Almatoran. That's number one. What they did in the last chapter is that they gave you sort of a third-person perspective, in which we have Aladdin. He would talk about certain things, and then we'd have inferences, we'd have deductions and questions by Alibaba, by Cohen, by Sinbad, by Mu, and so on and so forth. And what I really wanted was for this to all be sidelined, wherein which we'd actually focus on Almatoran and Almatoran alone, where we'd actually get the perspective of the characters in the Almatoran situation, or the Almatoran arc, I should say. And we're getting that. Now, granted, again, 800 years glazed, but, despite that fact, we are now getting a first-person perspective of the content at hand, which is good, which is very good. So now we're completely focused on Almatoran, with no side inferences at all, with no side, talks and so on and so forth. So that's number one. Number two is that we actually are going back. We're going back to when Solomon, not when he was like born, but when he is a much younger individual. And he apparently is he's still young, but he's old enough to be the leader of the resistance that's fighting against, at this point in time, the individuals that are mainly in power, the Orthodox Magic Church, or something like that. I don't know, because in the sense, Elah, he is their god, and they do everything in his name. But that also includes the grotesque acts that they force upon the other species. So you can say that it's like an advanced form of racism. But of course, when it's race, we're all the same. We're all the same species. All right, we're all humans. We're all Homo sapiens. But in this case, they're forcing their domination upon the other species that exist within the world of Almatoran. Now we get introduced to a bunch of characters. There is this guy called Wahid. We see him in the past chapter, like he has like a blindfold over him. He has like some weird. We see Wahid, we see Isnan, and then we see this girl called Farah, and they're chilling together in the last chapter. Like they're in a huddle, like they're in a group together. And we see them in this chapter much younger. Also, there's a guy called Seta, which we haven't seen until this chapter. At least I don't think so. Then we see Ugo, who's younger. And what I must say is that, because I believe that, to my recollection, Ugo is one of the three. He was one of the three wise Magi that guided Solomon. So at this point in time, I don't see any Magi stuff going on, because according to what Isnan said, Ugo, he always hides behind someone. And Ugo says, well, that's my job. Like, my job is like to be like the strategist. And like he's Shiro from freaking Log Horizon or something. But the thing is that, like, does that mean that he got his powers later on? I don't know. I have no idea. The girl that we see, Sheba, who wound up being the girl who's holding the divine staff, a staff which apparently gains a lot of Magi from Il-Ila itself. So that would explain why Sheba, who I think winds up later on becoming Rengyokuen, because again, it's the same staff. It's the same staff. Rengyokuen had it when she was, actually, like, when we see her in the actual current world, she had that same staff, the same exact staff. So my thing here is that probably in this case, that was her former name, Sheba, and then at some point in time, she relinquished that name and then became Rengyokuen. Now, what I can say is that maybe this whole Magi concept is the concept of Il-Ila or Ila giving more Magi to specific staffs or to specific individuals as opposed to the others. But then again, that really wouldn't explain why Solomon himself is like the only guy who can like create another planet and like another dimension. It's like, bro. So, I mean, again, stuff that I want to throw out there. And to my recollection, this is the way it is at this point in time. If I'm wrong, then I'll make corrections in the next review. That's the way it is. And again, like today's like one take mode because I'm just really fucking tired. Now, what's fascinating is that, well, first of all, when we get the whole character introductions, I mean, there's one girl also. Her name is so there's those three I mentioned before. There's Isnan, there is Wahid, there is Falan, then there's Seta. Then there's Sheba, who winds up being the girl with the staff that they actually rescue from this giant tower that the Orthodox church guys were controlling, and they were using to manipulate the other creatures. Then there is another girl, who I believe her name is Arba. And Arba, she was the former servant of Solomon, and she calls him the young master. But he says, I'm not a young master anymore. So this would imply that Solomon was actually born into a position of higher order within the world, like someone of nobility. And then he deliberately brought himself down because he saw what was going on, and he said, no, fuck this shit. And he decided to take it upon himself to be the leader of the resistance. So, I mean, that's just based on why Arba calls him young master. And also, he's always reading books, which would also imply that he's very intelligible. And I'm not saying that their world is very similar to the world of past, the long past, but reading books would be, it would signify someone of a higher position when it came to, the past, and even in some cases today. But let's move on. The thing here is that when you look at the previous chapter of Magi, there is an individual that's always next to Ugo, and we never see her face, okay? And that person I assumed was the mother of Aladdin. Now, I'm starting to have doubts about that because when you look at Solomon when he's a kid, he looks like a combination of Sinbad side story Sinbad, kid Sinbad, and Aladdin. He looks more so like Aladdin. I'm not joking. Even the hair, he has the same hairstyle. I mean, now granted, the hairstyle isn't really a big, a hairstyle shouldn't be a big indicator about someone being the son of this individual. It really shouldn't. But at this point in time, that's all I'm basing it on. When it comes to the facial features, when it comes to the hairstyle, he looks more so like Aladdin and a little bit of kid Sinbad. Like the sharpness of the face. But that's my personal take. Because Aladdin seems to have a more rounder, face, a more joyous face. While kid Sinbad has a more sharper tone to his face. And I'm trying to make deductions on this. But again, that's my take. He looks like a combination of kid Sinbad and current Aladdin. More so like Aladdin. So this may imply that Solomon is the father of Aladdin. Especially considering the fact that Aladdin is able to... I mean, he's the only guy... He's the proxy of Solomon, for Christ's sake. So this would be further hints, clues, reasons as to why he is the son of Solomon. But that would mean, in order to stick with my theory, that would mean that Arba would be the wife of Solomon or the mother of Aladdin, and the mother of Aladdin, I should say. But then again, I'm not too sure about that either. because I believe that the person who was next to, because I forget, the person who was next to Solomon, who was next to Ugo in the last chapter, I think was also another one of the three wise Magi, which means that this person, Arba, would either have been a Magi from birth, or maybe later on in life she became a Magi through Il-Ila. Again, I don't know. I have no idea. But now that I look at Arba, I'm thinking there's no way that Arba is going to be Aladdin's mom. I'm just doubting it. So, and again, this is my assumption. My assumption is that Arba is the same girl who was next to Ugo in the last chapter. But that may not be the case at all. So again, I'm going to throw it out there, but as far as you know, that's Arba. And again, based on what she said, we can tell that Solomon was born into a higher position. And later on, he brought himself down to be the leader of this resistance. Now, when it comes to the end of the chapter, okay? This to me, because like after Sheba, she talks about how she wants to go back, and she basically believes, she honestly, earnestly believes that the other species are the darkness. The other species and the impure people, they are the darkness within the world, and they must do certain tasks. They must do certain tasks via the name of Ila and appease Ila. And she was one of the few individuals that was able to hold this divine staff, which again is the same staff that we've seen Rengyoku have. So I'm just saying that's why I'm telling you that she was probably got rid of her name later on in life and became Rengyoku. But actually also, maybe she was still known as Sheba by the time Solomon, like in the latest chapter, in the last chapter, the girl that we see is probably still Sheba. And she's probably still known as Sheba. But she relinquished her name when it came to this current world to take on the image of Rengyoku. Now again, I'm throwing stuff out there. But basically we find out, okay, that she's still hardcore deep into the whole religious magician Ila thing. And she's not going to relinquish her thoughts on why these non-human species are dark, they're evil, so on and so forth. So what happens is that she leaves, she bails. Because again, all these guys that she's chilling with right now who saved her, they're impure in her eyes. Despite the fact that they saved her, okay? And by the way, apparently Isnan was actually very good at using lightning magic, alright? So, okay, lightning, alright, good job. Now, we see her walking, and she apparently leaves the home base. She's walking some weird desert area. There winds up being this weird creature called, I forgot what it's called, like a manticore or something like that, alright? Like a weird desert mole lion thing, alright? I don't really know what to go with that. But basically, it's striking at her. Solomon blocks the attack. She's like, kill him. And then Solomon doesn't actually kill the manticore thing. He actually headbutts it. And is you have strong claws, so you're going to be a really good manticore warrior. But for now, go back to your mom. She's right there. And you see this mom. Big-ass moms and shit. Big-ass mom's yo, the fuck over you. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? And then she grabs her son, daughter, whatever it is, kid, and then someone's alright, yeah, take care of the run. Manticore's yeah, alright, peace. Goes in the hole. And then we have Sheba saying, if I had my staff, I would have killed it. And then we have Solomon actually grab her arm. And then, at first in a loving manner, then he says, you really are a despicable woman. In my eyes, you're the twisted one. In my eyes, you're the freak. And that's where it ends off. So we see his mindset, where in which and we can see why he's the leader of the resistance, because in his eyes, all the species are equal. And we actually find out that 800 years has passed, and they've pretty much forgotten. The magicians have forgotten about their promise to Ila, where in which this Alma-Torah, this utopia, has been sidelined for the benefit of magicians and, I should say, the Orthodox church magicians and their conquest of, I guess in a sense, domination of all the other species on the planet because of their transgressions against humanity back in the day, where again only 500 humans remained. So they're punishing all of the species now and they're abusing them now. But Solomon doesn't see that. He sees no, they're equal. Alright? We're on the same level, and they shouldn't be treated this way. And the fact that you think that they should be treated this way, Sheba, you, in my eyes, are disgusting. You are the monster. You are the freak. So, where this goes, we don't really know. But, based on what we see in the last chapter, assuming that the girl in the last chapter is still Sheba, who later on becomes Rengyokuen, we can have this deduction, this early on deduction, that maybe, because it's worked for Alibaba and Aladdin when it comes to other people in the current world, but it's probably due to this, belief in the other species being inferior and being disgusting, and her job as in to like stop this quote-unquote darkness. We can assume that Solomon fails in actually changing who Sheba is within her inner heart, because she may have the outward appearance of actually changing, but Solomon may have actually failed in this sense, assuming that Sheba is the same girl that we saw in the last chapter. And you can see her eyes. If you go back to the last chapter, you see her eyes. Whoa, she's in the darkness, bro. She's Sasuke. She's clearly made the plunge. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe she initially started to change to a good person after some years, after some days with Solomon. Some months. I have no idea. But maybe later on, she started to revert back into her old mindset for some odd reason. Again, so I'm going to throw this out there. Either she has continued to maintain this mindset even when it came to the previous chapter, or she started to change into a good person that at some later point in time reverted back to this individual that she was. So again, we'll see where that goes. So I'm done. The chapter, I think it's actually a very, very, very good chapter. I'm going to give a chapter rating of a great plus. And right now, Amatorn arc is full. We are immersed in this motherfucker right here. It is very good. I'm loving it heavy. And Solomon seems like a really cool dude, alright? Again, is he Aladdin's father? I have no idea. The fact that Aladdin is the only person worthy of being Solomon's proxy, I think is actually a very good sign. But, that being said, and the fact that also he was in the Sacred Palace with Ugo for like the longest time ever, which no other Magi was ever, given that right. But then again, he's the only Rengyokuen is. But still, Yunnan is special, but we don't know about Yunnan's full story. But he is also a Magi of Amatoran. So maybe because of that reason alone, he is given the Solomon proxy. So he doesn't have to be Solomon's kid necessarily. But whatever. We'll see where it goes. But I'm done. The chapter rating is going to be great plus. I said I wasn't focused, right? But for some reason, I feel like this chapter review was actually solid, Yeah, just, give me your thoughts, right? Because I don't know, because I really am tired, but I just talked. So, we'll see. Alright, but give me your thoughts about the chapter review. Was I okay? Was I good? Did I take my time? Alright, so I'll see you guys later. King Lightning, great plus review. Peace. Great plus chapter. Peace. I can't give my reviews a rating. That's what you guys do, alright? Based on the thumbs up and the thumbs down. So, that kind of stuff. Normally I get thumbs up, which is, why am I talking? Peace. Have a nice day.